Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're going to give a couple minutes just to let everybody who's joining in from the web kind of sign in and get signed in. We have Dr. Ahn today, who is going to be presenting about his research with SHARE, and he's going to explain the sharing habitats and agricultural resources with emerging Floridians. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be some AI we're talking about as well. So thank you all for joining us. And we will get started in just a couple of minutes. I did also want to mention that the April webinar for the CLUE webinar series, Lunch and Learn series, is a little bit earlier than normal. It is April 18th, which is just in a few weeks, and it's going to feature Leslie Jerome from the Energy Extension Program, and he's going to be talking about REACH and all the new things coming up with the Energy Extension Program. So we're excited to hear from him. But as I mentioned today, it is Dr. Jae Ahn who is going to be speaking to us about his work with SHARE. So just going to give a couple more minutes to let everybody get in. I wanted to say thank you to anybody who was able to attend the H2O Save irrigation evaluation training, in-service training down in Bradenton and Palmetto. It was hosted by Dr. Nick Taylor and Caitlin Robb Price, and also Michelle Atkinson down in Manatee County. And we had about 24 people show up for the training, and it was wonderful. We have a lot of good feedback, and I think it's another IST that might be offered again in the future. So if you missed it, reach out to myself or to Caitlin and let us know if you're interested in attending any future ones. And then speak to the FFL agents and MGB coordinators who were able to attend and find out what they learned, because they learned a lot. All right, well, I think everybody who's going to join us has joined us, so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ahn and let him talk to us about his work. And thank you so much for joining us, Jay, and the floor is yours.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Jae Ahn. I'm a still new assistant professor, AI Extension. And my department is Department of Agriculture Education Communication, where Dr. Warner is in. Dr. Warner is a great mentor, and Dr. Warner invited me to attend a few lunch and learn sessions previously. So I think I attended every single session so far. So, and I started my job August 16th, so I'm a little bit 8-ish months working on it. So, so yeah, the title is SHARE, the sharing habitats and the agricultural resources with emerging Floridians. So my purpose basically is that using AI in a multiple extension programs, and also one of them is going to be the land efficiency. So, so this is not really, I have not started the real research, but this is really great opportunity for me to learn what's going on here in Florida. So, and about the land efficiency. So, so I have multiple backgrounds. So I got my bachelor's degree in the business, and then I also I got the agribusiness degree at Texas A&M, and the health service research and PhD in agriculture education, all at Texas A&M University. So I spent my time 15 years only at Texas A&M, and then I had some kind of a work experience and research experience, research associate, postdoc, and also research scientist. So, and then I got the multiple projects. So one is a Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security work. It's about cross-border screening threats. So it's about Canadian border and US border and the US border and Mexican border. So what are the invasive species moving on? So that's one of the projects I'm still working on as a sub-recipient here at UF. And then USDA projects, I mean, like other UF IFAS faculty, I also have a couple of USDA projects. And the Buffett Foundation and the USAID, we had a shared project. So USAID funded my previous institution, the Center on Conflict Development, to fund HSN, is a Higher Education Solutions Network. So, and the Buffett Foundation is also kind of matching funded the project. So, But Homeland Security work is a systematic mapping of cross-border threats to enhance U.S. agriculture security issues. So number one is that biosecurity threats jeopardize U.S. food supply, economy, and national security. So there are a lot of biosecurity threats. And then 2001, I still remember that we had a September 11 attack. And then since that, their national security has a lot of issues, and then biosecurity is one of them. So, and research is very fragmented. So systematic mapping is very systematic review study. We actually screened tons of literature discussing biosecurity threats nationwide and the cross-border. Not only U.S., Canada, U.S. and Mexico, but also the international trade work. So lots of biosecurity and invasive species coming up and threatening, and some actually valuable, but we see the benefits of this project, and create a systematic map of threats, vulnerabilities. I'm going to talk about some of the vulnerabilities in Florida, but also we see the consequences. We almost finishing up the projects in August this year. And often we do a system mapping because we can highlight and address key knowledge gaps in this angle. Higher Education Solutions Network, HSN, ran 10 years. So we started 2013 to 2022, and there are multiple institutions involved in this partnership. And one of them is my previous center is a Center on Conflict and Development, so CONDEP Center. And what we did, one of the projects is sharing the land. So we had multiple projects, so youth education, youth development, food security, but this is one of them, sharing the land. So we want to see a lot of conflict issues in the DR Congo. It's a department of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and the land management issue, land tenure issue is critical there. So we did the Nord Kivu work, and then there are a lot of fighting between the government, military, and the rebel groups, and it's still going on, and the land tenure issue is critical. Farmers have no land tenure, there's no land aid, so it's like that. So we want to build kind of land tenure system that whether the farmers can have the rights to own their use and the benefit from the land. I often experience in Sub-Saharan Africa, my previous work involved a lot of Sub-Saharan Africa, and the food security issue often involves in the land tenure cost. So there's no land, and the female farmers don't have any land aid, and then a lot of argument coming in for harvest and who has what. So this is critical issue. Not only this DR Congo, but also other Sub-Saharan African countries, especially in rural areas. And also we wanted to build kind of mitigation system. So we provide some kind of strategies and tools to apply and prevent or mitigate the land conflict issue. So that's another work we try to do that. And the GIS and the land information system is one of the things also we did. Of course, it's not just a one-day work, right? It takes time. So like 5 years, 6 years. And we actually build some kind of technology to create the maps and documents land right system. So, and then especially this area, Nord Kivu, this is very close to Rwanda. It's not really close to Kinshasa, the capital of the DR Congo. So this area, one of the most conflict zones. So we wanted to build kind of system so that, I mean, the localities can actually have this kind of strategy. So GIS information system is critical. And we wanted to do some kind of transparency. So we built these three, but we want to make them really transparent. So all the steps we do, land tenure system, mitigation, and GIS system, transparent, so that the rural communities can see the benefits of this work. So this is one of the projects I can imagine among a lot of different projects is real close to the CLUE work, although this is really different very different background. So let's say Florida. So this is Impact Observatory. So it's basically they do daily satellite map update using deep learning, and they see the 67 counties, how they are changing rapidly, dynamically. So this captures actually 2017 and 2022, like 5-year span, and then what's going on. So we can see 4 colors, different colors. One is forest, the forest change, and the farm change, and water resource change, and water wasteland, and the city. So we can see some kind of conversion. So if you see kind of this GIF format, this really changes a lot. So first, the forest is really down, and a lot actually become wasteland. So in this area, you see here is Lake Okeechobee, and near Lake Okeechobee, the water resource is actually getting disappeared. So this area, only within like 6 years, 5 years span. And we can see a lot of wasteland. And also the other thing is that the farm size is also, if you see these entire 67 counties, I think it's the number is not really much changing, but still declining a little bit, the farmland. And the last one is city. So if you see the city right here, I'm gonna show you 2023 map. Next slide, but you can see a lot of changes here and here and here. So we can see a lot of cities here. That's one of the issues that the new residents, about 1,000 residents coming in from other states. And then, so the CEO often, the Impact Observatory, he's saying that how can you utilize a 2-year map of Florida, which has about 1,000 new residents daily coming. So I think this map is really helpful to see what's going on here, Florida. So I just downloaded another IO map, and it really shows the 2022, like December 31st. So it's like a 2023 and the 2023, just 1 year. What really happened? It didn't really change, but if you see this one, urban growth, 2017 to 2022 and 2023 is really rapidly changing the urban growth. It's a red area. It's really here increasing, and here is increasing. And then, of course, there's a single family is in nearby the Orlando. So urban growth is really significant. So just 1 year between 2022 and 2023, there's a slight expansion of red patches, the city near coastal regions right here. And major metro areas, you can imagine, like Jacksonville, Orlando, and Tallahassee, and this area too, St. Petersburg, and indicating there's a lot of new development. I think we all know this, and the forestry and agriculture. So some areas transition from green, is the forest, to orange, or vice versa. There's some change in transitions or so. It really gives some hints at the shifting land uses for crops or reforestation. But this is subtle increase. Wasteland is a light yellow area. I showed you that this area and this area and this area, there's a huge wasteland coming up. So there's subtle increase or decrease in small pockets, though not as prominent as urban or agriculture changes. This is really coincidence that, so I just downloaded this report. This is the UF report. And there's, of course, unaffordable housing crisis despite construction boom. So there's a single family increase, of course, and also multifamily construction coming up. So if you see here, there's this area, there are a lot of single family coming up, and the other areas, coast areas, there are multifamily coming up. So if you see the median single family home price is really high in some areas, right? Coastal regions. And of course, median home prices below $250,000 in rural areas to above like $500,000. There's a pricey coastal areas. So we can imagine, right? And statewide, approximately 900,000 renter household with the median income below 60% spend over 40% of their income. So what it means that they spend a lot of money, a lot of income on their rent, housing rent. So this is another critical issue that when families allocate too much of their income to housing, the rent, it becomes harder to afford essentials like food, transportation, and healthcare. I really think that this is another extension program issue. So we have to think about how to support these kind of families. So this is a big change. So I did some work. So Web of Science Advanced Search. So I'm trying to understand what's going on here in Florida. So I searched, number one, I went to the database like Web of Science. So this is very similar work to the cross-border threat screening to enhance agriculture security, supported by, like I said, funded by DHS. So I went Web of Science database and I searched 4 steps. Number one, I searched just the land. You can imagine over 1 million results. The repository came out, and then I don't need all land articles, publications, and then I put the characteristics. Like I said, right here, I could see forest, and we have Everglades, and we have some swamp, and I added this kind of keywords. And so there are a lot of keywords involved in the forest, and also farm. So we have some kind of major crops. So I added the farm in a farm characteristics, and also water. Lake Okeechobee work, and here, this area, the water issue is critical, and also wasteland issue is critical. So I tried to search all of the keywords involved and relevant to these kind of keywords, these characteristics, and city is also big issue. So I added some kind of keywords here, the report, the keywords, and then I got return 3,203 articles from Web of Science database. Why Web of Science? Because Web of Science is the world's most popular data repository. So I can download the file and I can have a systematic review from scratch, and I can search. I can see a lot of trends, what's going on there. So characteristics is very important from land issue. And if I narrow down Florida, I only got the 401 articles. So with these 401 articles, I used RViewer metrics and BOS viewer. That's mainly for the systematic review work. And then I got this 401. And then the last one is that because of my position, for the sake of my position, I downloaded 32. I narrowed down 32 artificial intelligence work, inclusive of this work. So number one is the word cloud. So like I said, I got the 401 articles really talking about these, but only for Florida. So I got this word cloud. So what is the most critical issue they discussing? Number one is climate change. So we all know that climate change is happening. Some don't believe climate change or not, but really climate change is happening. And there's a land management issues is going on, and there's lots of impacts based on the people coming in and invasive species and the water issue and wasteland and forest change and the farm change. So we have some impacts, and we have a soil quality here, nitrogen, and we can see the biodiversity and another diversity issue, and more. So forest urbanization, so sea level rise because of the climate change, and we have a lot of vulnerability issues. And so, yeah. So basically, the dominant topics are climate change, management, Florida, land issue, and water appear in the largest fonts, indicating frequently mentioned among 401 articles. And the other one is that environment and policy issue is critical. So we have to think about environment, we have to think about policy issues, and words such as conservation or vulnerability, urbanization, and sea level rise, that suggests altogether strong interest in environmental challenges and solutions. And there's a breadth of concepts. So the mix of biodiversity or nitrogen patterns and models illustrates both ecological and quantitative research angles. So, yeah. So there's some trend topics. So we can see among 401 articles, and I actually had only 5-year span. So it's like a 2025, 2024, 23, 20, 22, 21, and 20. These 5-year span, I could see what's going on. So vulnerability issue is critical. So starting 2022, authors really discussing about the vulnerable issues attached to land. And we now see a lot of policy issues. So some of you can imagine that what's going on, the policy issue relevant to land issues. So we don't have really clear policy to tackle this like a land efficiency issue, inefficient issue. And the cities, yeah, so we can see a lot of cities. So it's just expansion of the really kind of urban centers. So like peri-urban areas, and it's really the growth. So we can see a lot of city issues, right? So the city issue is really kind of recent issue. I can imagine there's kind of time lag. So maybe it really happened, maybe this area, this time, but they're now discussing about this issue, the city. And we can see many years like a management issue. So land management issue is critical. And climate change is really here starting 2022. And here this trigger or cause of the land issue also. So this is really impacts about all the angles of my search parameter. And Florida, of course, Florida is Florida. So it really covers that Florida. And the impact is yeah, so a lot of causes, like I said, the urban growth and the wasteland farm and the forest. So they're talking about the impact. And the conservation is many people talking about conservation, how to conserve our scarce resources. That's a conservation thing. And also performance. So how to make it this one mitigated, the issue is mitigated. And the population. I don't know why I couldn't find more articles about the population. It stopped here, but I can see the population issue. So basically rising frequencies, terms like climate change management in Florida show increased usage of the 3-year span, and the emerging interests, their emerging interests, policy cities and vulnerability appear later less frequently, but the base signal growth research areas later on. And there's some relative scale. So large cities represent higher time frequency. Florida and climate change constantly rank high. This is another map. We call it often the co-occurrence map. So we can gather all the other keywords, all keywords we often call. So if you see the article, Italian article, the title and the abstract, and below there you can see the keywords, right? So I gather 401 articles, and to see how the keywords incorporate and co-appearing together. So number one is of course climate change again, and we can also see a lot of management issues, the land management issue. How to use land is another critical issue. And so I can see this one as a one color, the purple, and I can see red color right here. So we are actually do some kind of conservation effort, and the land is really dynamic. So we can see a lot of dynamics in in Florida. So again, conservation and biodiversity, it appears together, and the ecology and selection and vegetation, agriculture growth, it all comes together. And this one, forest, is of course the climate change and the forest, it comes together, right? And the coast area, deforestation is really, really heavy. And of course, climate change impacts sea level rise and the vice versa. And we have a freshwater issues, especially in the South Florida. And yeah, so this is another angle. And the other angle is, of course, the water quality. So we have a lot of fresh water, and the water quality is really degrading. So there are many talking about the water quality issue. And also we have not only a quality issue, but also we have also quantity issue, right? So runoff is another issue. Yep. And then, yeah, also soil quality. There are many causes to impact the soil quality. So many authors discussing about the soil quality. And yeah, I think, yeah. And then, let's see. So there's some connectivity. So dense links suggest an interdisciplinary overlap, terms like impact, land use, and patterns bridge clusters, reflecting a multifaceted nature of environmental research. Okay, this is heat map. So like I said, I gathered these 41 articles, and then later on, I only focused on 32 articles, especially talking about these, but really focus on artificial intelligence utilization. So I actually put the top 30 words heat map. So heat map really showing that these 32 articles discussing and what words appear the most and the later, but this time I include the entire article text. So I could get more information. So why they use artificial intelligence? Because number one is they want to build better model. So model and policy and impact and mitigation is all together. So these 32 articles actually discussing a lot about modeling. ML is machine learning, so machine learning modeling. And then they want to do better analysis or also more like a sustainable analysis. So yeah, and also I can see a lot of imagery. So what's going on? What's the change? I showed you the impact observatory IO map. So they want to kind of do very similar work, changing dynamically what's going on and what's coming here in Florida. And of course, urban issue is critical. So I can see a lot of land issue articles and machine learning and deep learning and other AI applied research. And yeah, satellite image, basically, satellite image. So they can see clearly kind of minute, second, and hour, the change of the land. This is very interesting work. I can see a lot. And also the seagrass issue. So like algae bloom is a critical issue in Southern Florida. So a lot of studies, AI-based, working like a seagrass or algae, the water quality issue. So also like a fresh water and seawater, there's a lot of water quality issues. So they want to do that. Why do that? Because they want to build better accuracy and classification. So basically clustering patterns, there's rows and columns. So I deleted this, but I mean, there's individual articles here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 30. And then we can see what's most common words here in the row. And we often call this hierarchical clustering. So we can see a lot of hierarchies here and here. So we can see which one comes first or later. So high and low usage. So orange cells, these orange ones, up to 4 and blue down to -4. It shows that the orange cells indicate articles using certain words more intensively, something like modeling risk analysis, while blue ones really indicate that lower than the average frequency of those articles, 32 articles. So I can align with the UF IFAS CLUE research mission. So number one is a science-based context. So there are a lot of articles published daily basis talking about this. Unfortunately, I could find only 32 articles, really capture all these angles using AI. So I can see that there are a lot of potential possibilities. So science-based context is critical. So data-driven approaches can identify critical land issues and land use patterns and the environmental concerns and context on essential information and foundation for science-based decision-making. So AI is helping. And applications, of course, spotlight the recurring AI applications around water quality, urban expansion, and habitat conservation attached to the water, attached to the land. And third one is actionable policies. So the one thing I realized is that there's no clear policy on land. So we need to have actionable policies and measurable impact. So through this the title, the sharing habitats and the agricultural resources with emerging Floridians, we can aim to translate the insights into on the ground interventions. Okay, I think that's it. So any questions?
Well, thank you.
Yes,
Question. One of your earlier slides
yes.
showed the different land, maybe land uses.
Yeah.
But one of them was wasteland. I wonder if you could define that for us.
Okay, that's good. Yes.
I didn't do my job.
Okay, all right. So basically, based on the IO impact observatory definition, wasteland is there's no value in land. Is barren land or there's no water. There's nothing. I mean, it's no value. That's what they call is a wasteland. It's nothing there, like no farm, no water, no forest. Yeah, like that. That's what they call is a wasteland. So, yep. Yes.
So is that just like a natural area? Or is it like a place that has been? Hello. Is that like a natural area, a wasteland, or is that a place like where timber was harvested? Or, but like a swamp is a wasteland technically because there's no economic value, but there's a lot of ecosystem service value and stuff like that. And that's just what that clarification there is. It just
Yeah.
for like our economy or other services?
So here, yeah, right. So the wasteland in narrower scope is the natural resources. So there's no natural resource. We can also go with a bigger scope. So like forest right here. So it's gone, right? So what it means that there's no forest right here. It's disappeared.
Do you think that's from the hurricane?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a hurricane, right? So that's one of the things. We can think many issues. One is fire, right? Fire is another one, but especially this one, yes, you're right. I mean, there's a hurricane. And also there's some other reasons, like there are people trying to farm it or people moving in, try to build a city. So that's another issue that, yeah, like a waste. But yeah, but this one is more like a natural cause. So yeah. Any other?
For anyone who is attending online, if you would like to unmute yourself, you can and just ask your question, or you can put your question in the chat or into the Q&A box if anybody online has questions.
Okay. Thanks, Jay, for your presentation. And it's interesting to see, as you're learning about Florida, it's interesting to see what you're learning based on what we think we know about Florida. So IO maps, have their mapping, has that been validated against other data sources? The reason I ask that is because there's a lot of data sources in Florida, which they may be using. I don't know.
Yeah. They do. So of course they had a validation. So they use deep learning. So it's a satellite image. So okay, I'm a free user, Dr. Dukes. So I can download JPG or GIF or other like a software like a GIS applications. The expansion I can download that format. But this one is very accurate, I can say. because the company really gathers information every second. So the satellite image, so they can see every single time what's going on. But they only share like a yearly basis.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure if I'm a premium subscriber, maybe I can download like a minute. But this one really shows that the yearly basis, what's going on, what's the change. So yeah, this is very accurate. So I actually share this one. So I could find that a lot of articles, 32 articles, especially they're talking about imagery, satellite imagery, what's going on, the change of the land. They actually refer a lot of IO maps. So yeah. Mhm.
So there's a there's a database that the Florida Department of Agriculture uses. It's called FSED, Florida Statewide Agricultural Irrigation Database, I think.
Mhm.
I'll send that to you, but they do their own independent, I think, land use assessment because they're trying to understand and capture how much land is irrigated by
Yeah.
agriculture. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know how they do that, but maybe it's independent of this one and it might be useful to you.
Yeah. So what I'm really interested in using this kind of map is that, I mean, also this kind of a big data is that, so every time I can see the real-time data and then the data really accumulated, so I can use these for AI. So Dr. Dukes, I presented the other day to extension agents, right? So one of kind of learning curve is that there's a lot of multiple kind of applications using AI. So this kind of deep learning work or machine learning works to see the change and to make some kind of decision-making process or some kind of a leading kind of policy issues or the kind of dealing with tackling these kind of issues is really helpful because it's dynamic and we can see, we can adjust the issue faster using AI. So yes, so. Mhm. Sorry, actually, when I first prepared this presentation, I thought that, wow, I mean, this slides, the number is really even high, but so I delete a lot, but I realized that's really short, so. Yeah.
You'll never get in trouble for having a short presentation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So my first part, like a background or educational background or my previous project, I didn't really think that they're very, very important. So I tried to move on this second part faster. So maybe that's why actually my presentation was short. So yeah.
Your presentation was perfect. It was the exact length it needed to be. So we're thank you so much for sharing it with us. Any
Yeah.
other questions in the room? Any questions online? Okay, then we will wrap things up and say thank you again, Jay, for taking the time, coming over and sharing your work with us. If anyone missed any of this, it is recorded and it will be available online. And if you want to share with your colleagues, we look forward to seeing you all back here April 18th, where Leslie Jerome will be presenting on energy extension and the program, the REACH program. So thank you all for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful Friday and we will see you in just a few weeks. Bye-bye.